Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video I'm going to talk about Facebook ads cost caps. Do you want to be using cost caps? Are they a good idea? If you are going to use them, how should you use them? I see a lot of people making mistakes with cost caps, adding them into their Facebook ad campaigns when they shouldn't, not using the right way, and that can have a massive impact on your Facebook ad results. So I'm going to clear that up in this quick video. Before I get into that, I want to very quickly ask you to smash that like button, click that thumbs up button, that really helps me out, and of course subscribe to my channel if you are new and haven't done so already. I release Facebook advertising related content all the time, so lots of useful stuff for you to help you get better results with your Facebook ad campaigns. So I'm in an example Facebook ad account here, and I've got an example campaign created, and I've just scrolled down to the campaign budget optimization section, which is what we're usually using when we're running Facebook ad campaigns. We're using CBO. I've got a whole video about CBO versus ABO. I'll include that in the link in the video description below, so you can check that out. It's well worth doing if you're not sure on that sort of stuff. But once you turn on CBO, you'll see that you've got this campaign bid strategy section. And what we're talking about here is cost cap. So you can see that the default is lowest cost. And if I click on the little down arrow, you can see we've got lowest cost as the default, cost cap, and then there's some other options like bid cap, minimum ROAS in this case. You may see other options depending on how your ad account is set up and what integrations you have. So you might see highest value, for example, as an option. And it also depends on your campaign objective. We've created a conversions campaign here because, again, 90% of the campaigns we create are usually going to be conversion campaigns. So don't worry if you don't see the exact same list, is basically what I'm getting at. But the purpose of this video is I'm going to talk about cost cap. I'm going to talk about it in relation to lowest cost, which is the default. Now, lowest cost, the idea behind lowest cost and the reason why it's the default option with your Facebook ad campaigns is to get the most results for your budget, which sounds fantastic. That sounds exactly like what most advertisers would want. However, once you run Facebook ad campaigns for any length of time, you'll realize that results can fluctuate significantly. And they do this for all sorts of reasons. Again, I'll include another link in the video description below to another video all about why results fluctuate and what happens there. But basically, it's because we're advertising in the real world to real people, and their behavior on the platform is affected by real world events like news, like how good the weather is, what time of year it is, all this sort of stuff, right? So there's often fluctuations, and that can lead to spikes in advertising cost, and usually does. And so what people will often do is they'll go, you know what? My campaigns are usually profitable, but whenever we see these spikes in cost, they just become unprofitable. I don't want to run campaigns. I want to limit spend. And that's when people go in and they produce and they add in a cost cap. So you can see cost cap says here, control your costs whilst getting the most volume of results for your budget. And what the idea behind, if I go ahead and add it in, what the idea behind cost caps is that it will take out those spikes, okay? Which sounds fantastic. So you say, look, I don't want to spend more than $20 cost per purchase. And let's say your campaign averages, $16 cost per purchase, but every, couple of weeks for a few days, it will spike up to $24 cost per purchase or so. And you would just rather not advertise when that happens. Now, I am not completely anti-cost caps, but there's absolutely some times where you do not want to be using cost caps. I want to make that very clear. The first is when you've got a new campaign and you don't know what your average cost per conversion or even cost per result is likely to be. Cost caps absolutely get in the way of Facebook's optimization process. When your campaigns are new, when your ad sets are new and they're going through the learning phase, you are going to see fluctuations in results. You do not want to have cost caps in place there. Firstly, because you've no idea what to set your cost cap at. You don't know what your cost per conversion is likely to be. You could set it way too low and your campaign simply won't run. But even if you do get the right amount, you're going to spend much longer in the learning phase. You're much more likely to get stuck in learning limited, which is something you want to avoid if you can. And that's because Facebook kind of can't do its thing. It can't test lots of different options because it keeps running up against this restriction. So during the first at least week, but usually longer than that, I do not like to add in any cost caps to a Facebook ad campaign. I also don't like to do it if you've been running a campaign for a while, but let's say you're going to add something in new, like you're adding in a new product to your campaign that's advertising a certain product range, or you're adding in something new like targeting options or significantly different ad creative. Because again, we want the Facebook ad machine learning process to be able to optimize whilst under the new conditions. Like let's say you add in a new target, you create a new ad set, right? You add in a new targeting option. Well, we want to see how that does. That ad set is going to go through the learning phase. If you've got a cost cap in place, that's going to get in the way. Cost caps are much more useful for mature campaigns where you have quite a lot of data, you know what your average cost per conversion is, and you know that just at some times of the year or during certain days of the week even perhaps, or things like that, your cost per conversion or cost per result goes above what you want it to. And if you could take that out, you might take your overall cost per conversion from say $18 down to $16 and $15 by just not advertising on those days, and that's absolutely fine. And that's how cost caps work, by the way. Facebook will basically see, okay, you've set a cost cap of $20 cost per purchase. We've just gone above that for the last few days. Let's turn the campaigns off. It is not perfect by any means. So often we will see cost caps turn off campaigns too late. So you do end up spending too much money above the limit that you set. And we see it doing it too early, where your average cost per conversion is well below and cost caps have gotten in the way and turned off your campaigns when you think, well, you should still be running. So that's also something to be aware of. So those are scenarios in which I would and wouldn't use cost caps. Just want to quickly jump to the ad set level now. And if we scroll down, we will go, you can see all this stuff is loading. We scroll down, we see we'll get to the cost control level, okay? Now, once you've worked out when you should and shouldn't be using cost caps or cost controls, what level should you set your cost cap at? I see a lot of people, let's say they've run a campaign for a month or 2 months. They know that their average cost per purchase is $20 and they want to set this at say, or let's do pounds because obviously my ad account is in pounds. They want to set their cost cap at say 18. Like their average in their ad account is 20 and they think, oh, I can use this cost cap to bring my average down to 18. If you do that, your Facebook ad campaign is highly likely to just simply not run or only spend a tiny fraction of your budget, okay? I would definitely not recommend you go lower than your average. I wouldn't even recommend you go at your average. I would usually give some nice headway, often around about 20%. So if your average was $20, or in this case £20, I'd usually be starting to look in and put in a cost cap at about 24, about 20% above. Now, you can always adjust this and bring it down. So I would encourage you to start higher than you'd like it to be and see how that affects things. Like let's say, for example, I added in a cost control here at £24 and my campaigns ran just fine, no effect. Okay, then we'd look to bring it down to say 22. Then maybe we bring it down to 20 and see the impact. But if you go straight in at say 18, your campaigns may not run. If you go in at 20, your campaigns are probably going to run only a part of the time. They may still not run. As I said, cost caps do not operate perfectly. But if you go in at the 24 and you see, oh, okay, my campaigns are actually already being affected here and they are being turned off at certain points, then you know you've probably got the right amount. You may even want to increase it. So go higher and incrementally reduce. The idea here is not, with cost caps, is not to spend as little as you possibly can. It's to take those spikes out of cost. Cost caps can reduce your overall average cost per conversion by taking out the spike, not by bringing down what your average would be. That's just not going to happen. Okay. So that's how I'd go about structuring it. If you're introducing a new ad set, because obviously if we're using CBO, you've set up a cost cap at the campaign level, and then the ad set level you're introducing cost control. If you're using CBO and want to introduce a new ad set where you're testing a new targeting option, I've already mentioned you don't really want a cost cap in place. You can just go ahead and put this at something much higher. Okay, we've done that quite often. And that will just basically allow that ad set to run without an issue. And then once you've got an average for that ad set, you can then bring that cost cap back down to something that is actually going to come into play then and be more appropriate. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully that's helped cleared up some cost cap questions when you shouldn't use it. Before we go, a couple of things I want to quickly mention. The first is a free webinar I've created called 3 Killer Facebook Ad Strategies to Double or More Your Revenue. And this webinar is all about Facebook ad strategy. We demonstrate 3 sales funnels, 3 that we use for our clients all the time, very much tried and tested, very much proven. We've generated 7+ figures with each multiple times. And we break down in the webinar not only exactly how these sales funnels work, but which one you want to use depending on which products and services you offer. Because there's a difference there, right? You need to advertise a $20 product very differently to a $10,000 service. So I think strongly recommend going through this. It's completely free. Links in the video description below. It might be some of the best time you ever spend when it comes to Facebook advertising to go through this free webinar. So I'd go ahead and check that out. Other thing I want to mention is my Facebook ads mastermind group. So free group, there are currently 125,000 members, one of the absolute biggest communities of Facebook advertisers anywhere in the world. And it's full of people just like you who want better results from Facebook ads. They're asking questions, getting them answered. I'm in there every day. It's just an amazing community that really helps you get much better at Facebook advertising much faster, learn from others, all that sort of stuff. So again, completely free to join. Link is in the video description below. Go ahead and join, and we'd love to have you in there. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and comment below. I get to as many comments as I possibly can, so put comments down below. Let me know what you think, and yeah, best of luck with your Facebook ad campaigns, guys. Thanks. Bye for now.